Right, my friends, exciting one for you today because I have got my electric car here, the Porsche Taycan. If you watch the channel, you'll obviously know that I've got a Porsche Taycan. However, I've got a couple of things that I want to speak to you about today because I reckon it is the end of the electric car. It's coming to an end because global sales have faltered. They've failed. They've took a nosedive. And also, lots of people have said to me, do you not think it's a bit dangerous, sat on a load of batteries with all that electromagnetic radiation? You should watch that, well, in a future episode. So what I want you to do is now, if you're not subscribed, subscribe, because I've got some exciting information for you, because I bought one of these. Now, I'm not sponsored, by the way. I bought it myself off of Amazon. It's an electromagnetic field radiation tester. I'm going to read the instructions on it, and in the next episode or the one after, I'm actually going to test the radiation levels on my Porsche Taycan. I'm going to test it while it's standing still and not switched on. Then I'm going to switch it on and I'm going to test what the levels are like then as well, in the front and in the back. And then also while it's charging, because a lot of these companies and motor dealers say it's fine to sit in the car while you're charging. And lots of people do. They sit there eating the sandwiches, sat there with the crusts cut off and sat there drinking the coffees, etc. while they're charging the car, and all this electromagnetic radiation is going through their body. Now, in future, I can see it a few years down the line, a little bit like asbestos. Were you harmed by electromagnetic field radiation? Well, contact lawyers for you, or whatever it's called. That's what's going to happen. I can see it, in my opinion. Anyway, so that's a future episode. I'm just going to nip in, get a coffee. We're going to take a ride up north towards the Lake District, and then we're going to have a little chat because Porsche allegedly have cut production on their Taycan. Now, I test drove the new Taycan. It was fantastic. We're not getting into that because it doesn't matter how these things drive, it's how they actually perform in everyday use. And also, they're pushed onto us, and I've banged on about the fact that these things are all about control. You've got all the politicians banging on saying about 2035, now it's Keir Starmer, it's going to be put forward again to 2030. You can guarantee it. Yet he will still ride around in his gas guzzling Range Rovers and jetting off to climate summits in private jets. It's all about them, isn't it? It's do as I say and not do as I do. So hit the subscribe button. That's going to be interesting. I'm going to get a coffee and I'll see you guys in a minute in the car and we'll have a chat. This Porsche thing, it's pretty interesting. It's been in the news, but it's been hidden away. Don't believe the media, they lie. Now hit the subscribe button. Without further ado, my friends, let's go. Right, got my coffee. Before we get in the car, what's interesting is the other week I test drove the new Porsche Taycan, the second generation. Now, you cannot deny it drives fantastic. Do I think electric cars are the future? I think we should have choice. I've said this all along. We should have electric, we should have petrol, we should have diesel, because we're having that choice taken away from us. It's like credit cards and cash. I've said we should have both. There seems to be a lack of places now that take cash, but then people fighting back because you can't take card, and it's just annoying. It should be about choice. If you take away your choice, you take away your freedom. So we're not getting into how the Porsche Taycan drives, because the new one drives great. It's £100,000. It's going to drive great, but having an electric car shoved down our throat, I don't agree with that. Anyway, it's interesting because I'm going to put this news story in the description down below. The global sales of electric cars are allegedly on the decline. And I put in allegedly because we can't say things. We have no freedom of speech these days, so I have to be careful and cover my back. I'll read you a little bit of this story. It says Porsche might reduce Taycan production after sales tanked in H1 2024. In the first half of the year, the volume decreased by 51%. 10%. Porsche reports that its global car sales during the second quarter of 2024 amounted to 78,305. That's down nearly 10% year over year. It was the fourth negative quarter in a row. The sales issues also concern the all-electric Porsche Taycan model, which in quarter two noted a 48% year-over-year decline to 4,602 units. It was the second time Taycan sales were cut in half, but we also know that the model awaits its new 2025 model year version with a set of notable upgrades. Well, that's now out now. So I shall pop that in the description down below, the link to this. It also says that they're cutting production and it goes into that they're just going to use one plant, etc. But rather than me reading all that to you and boring you with that, then I shall pop that in the description down below. And I've also got another little news story, because apparently sales of electric cars in general have tanked globally, not just in the UK. But we've now got Keir Starmer in, and I'm not getting political. I'm not interested in politics. It doesn't interest me. I believe all of the politicians are all controlled by somebody higher than them. And I think we pretty much know that, because Biden proves that, doesn't it? Somebody's controlling the government above him, because he's obviously not doing it. And that's what it is. There's a higher power, and I'm pretty sure you will agree, that is controlling the world and is trying to stop freedom of movement, in my opinion. And that's why these electric cars are being pushed upon to us. I need to get onto the road. I'll see you in the car, and then we'll pull over and I'll read you this other story about global sales tanking. I cannot wait though to try this EMF tester. I got it out of the box last night and tested it with a few other things like microwaves and phones, etc. So it's going to be really interesting to see how much radiation is around these cars and whether they're good for us. I actually did a bit of Google research. I'll tell you in the car. We're going to get on the road. Come on, onwards. Right, okay, so this EMF tester, I actually got it out of the box yesterday. Lots and lots of people. I've had probably I'd say hundreds of people rather than thousands, but I have had an awful lot of people saying, you're sat on a load of batteries, that's got to be dangerous. Now, I never really thought about it, to be honest, but I mean, there are a lot of that, a lot of electromagnetic fields in the world. You put a mobile phone to your ear, that's obviously got electromagnetic radiation. That's why a lot of people, annoyingly, you speak on their speakerphone rather than putting it to their ear and having the brain fried. I think personally, I think we may see a lot of issues with this later on in life. But I did do a bit of Google research, and it says there's no evidence to prove that electromagnetic radiation and magnetic fields, etc., are hazardous or harmful to your health. But who knows? You know, it says there's no evidence to prove that. That doesn't mean that it isn't harmful. We don't know, and I don't know either. But it's interesting, and it is going to be interesting to see, because this thing bleeps red if it's dangerous. So that's going to be it's going to be shocking, I would have thought, because I'm sat on all this radiation and electromagnetic fields going through your body. Now, I did a little bit of testing on it. I got it out of the box and I put it near my mobile phone, and that bleeped. I put it near my laptop while that was charging, and the meter was off the scale. It was unbelievable. And also put it next to the microwave as well at Sarah's house, and again it was off the scale, but it was off. The microwave was actually off, so there's obviously electricity going through that. So it's going to be the same with this car. Now, the batteries are on the floor of this car, and I believe at the back you're pretty much closer to the batteries if you sat at the back. But the manufacturers say that it's fine to sit in the car while it's charging. Now, I've never felt that overly safe sitting in the car while it's charging. You can feel the car buzz as it's having electricity plastered into the car and thrown into the car, and I've never felt that comfortable, to be honest. So I try not to sit in the car while it's charging, but a lot of people do. In fact, most people do. You can see them at service stations sat there having a little picnic, And do you know, it's like, it's strange because if they sat there long enough, they're eating the sandwiches, they'll probably get toasted. Anyway, come on, onwards. I actually think now that the electric car era was just a bit of a fad, and don't get me wrong, I've said all along I love how these cars drive. I like the instantaneous torque, but they lack soul, they lack charisma, and they lack a heart. And I actually think it's just a restriction of freedom of movement. And initially when these cars came out, we were dangled the carrot by the governments and the powers that be. You know, you can drive into London and there is no congestion charge. There's no low emission zone charges. You can just waft through without paying anything at all. Just a one-off fee of £10 or what it is for the year. But now they're taking that away. Sadiq Khan, not Sadiq Khan, it's named Sadiq Khan or Sadiq Khan, one of them. Anyway, he's taken that away from next year. If you have an electric car, you will have to pay to go into the centre of London. Dangle the carrot, take it away. We've got them. We've got a handful of people now that have got electric cars, and we're going to ramp them and just take the money off of them now. We fought them. We dangled the carrot, and that now people are, is this guy going to let me in? Let me in, thank you very much. Now I want to get, oh, hang on, there we go. It's crazy in the morning, isn't it? Anyway, so I believe now that the electric car era, the fad, has actually come to an end. People are waking up. And also, by the way, my second eldest daughter has just bought a new car. Really pleased for a lovely car. No, it's not electric, because first of all, I said to her, are you going to get an electric car? Can't repeat what she actually says. She says, I'm in not. And I said, language, not in front of your father. She said, no, I'm not. But when she went to the garage to buy the car, she was hounded by the motor dealer to buy an electric one. Maybe think about electric. Not just once, not twice, but multiple times trying to push an electric car onto it, because the motor manufacturers have been set a goal and a target, otherwise they'll get fined that they have to sell a certain amount of electric cars. I do actually feel sorry for the motor dealers in a way, and the motor manufacturers. There are a few motor dealers that I've spoken to, that I've dealt with, who don't like electric cars, and they are motor salespeople that I know. I'm not going to say who they are because I want them to keep their job, but they don't believe in electric cars either. They're like, well, we've been told to sell them, so we have to sell them. They have to push onto us electric cars. But I believe now that it's all on the decline. People who's had them have thought, you know what, I just want to go back to petrol. It's a lot more convenient. I can just fill up and go. And there's no incentive now, because they're not going to be any cheaper. And you can hear the evangelists that are out there saying it is if you charge at home. But not everybody can charge at home. Not everybody has got a detached house with a driveway, so it doesn't work like that. So that's why I think it is on the decline. And I think eventually, I don't think any of us will be driving unless you're the elite, in my opinion. Look at Keir Starmer now, the new Prime Minister of the UK. The first thing he did, I believe, was fly to Belfast, was it? On a private jet. And how did he get to the private jet? In his Range Rover. Yet he wants to now bring back the 2030 mandate to ban the sale of petrol and diesel cars, because Sunak, little Rishi, put it back to 2035. It's all about them and not about us, and that's why I think they're trying to just control us. And believe it or not, I think in the future they're going to want us to not travel anywhere. Personally, you'll have a score system, in my belief, that you'll only be able to use so many carbon credits, because that's what they're up to. Because of course we've got, you know, things are warming up. I mean, in England we've had the warmest and driest July on record. Absolutely, it's been fantastic. It's been unbelievably warm and dry. Onwards. My nose grown. So, a little question for you. When I test the radiation levels, the electromagnetic radiation fields in this car, if you're an EV owner, an evangelist, or you might not be an evangelist, you might just have you might be an EV owner, and you might not be an EV owner. If it shows up red and dangerous levels of electromagnetic fields, if you haven't got a car and you're thinking about an electric car, would it stop you buying an electric car? Would it worry you about the electromagnetic radiation fields if this meter shows up that it's dangerous levels of radiation inside the car? Would it put you off buying an electric car? Let me know in the comment section down below. And secondly, if you have an electric car, whether you're an evangelist or you just own an electric car and you don't really care one way or another, you've just bought one because that's what you did, would it put you off owning your electric car, and would it make you think about selling it and getting rid and going back to petrol or diesel? Let me know in the comment section, and don't forget, if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button for me, because I want to push this video out to people, because I want to show the world whether or not it is dangerous to own, dangerous to your health, to own an electric car, or even sit in an electric car if somebody else has one. So let me know in the comment section down below. I wonder how all the people that's bought electric cars feel now that they're having the congestion charge waiver taken away from them. And also, initially we got no road tax, or whatever it's called now. From next year you're gonna have to pay for it. So if you look and cast your mind back to all them videos that I made initially, where I said they're dangling the carrot, all this will be taken away from us, it's all come to fruition. These cars and the benefits will be taken away from us. Now the big question still is there, because petrol and diesel cars, the governments make a lot of tax on petrol, on fuel, gas if you're over in the USA. Now, how are they actually going to make their money on electric cars? Think about this. Think about this for 1 second. They're not going to charge you through your electricity company. That'd be too difficult. But what they can do is, and it's just a thought, I'm just throwing it out there, is pay per mile. So for every mile that you go, you will pay a certain amount. Now believe me, that's going to be more than what you're paying for your petrol or your diesel. These cars are equipped with GPS tracking devices. They know where you are, they know what you're doing, they know when you're charging up, and that, I believe, is how they will charge you in the future. You will be charged per mile, and it's just going to get more and more expensive until only the elite can travel, in my opinion. We need to put a stop to this right now. We can see that electric car manufacturers are faltering. A lot of them are going by the wayside. Tesla has laid people off. Yes, the mighty Tesla should have bought a Tesla. Well, obviously, a lot of people weren't buying a Tesla because Tesla have laid off a lot of people. And so have other companies. A lot of EV manufacturers have gone into liquidation. Let's just take a step back and look at what is happening here. We're being pushed into something that we don't want. And yes, I've said a million times, and I will say it again, because I know I'm going to get it in the comment section. You liked the new Taycan. Yes, it's a really expensive car. It's a luxurious car. It drives lovely. They have bettered it from this one, but it still lacks heart and soul, and also ease of use. Fill up on your way. It's restriction of movement, and nobody can see that. I can, and it needs to stop right now. And I'm hoping when I test these radiation levels that I also, it might not, it might show nothing, and we might be safe. But if it does, it answers one of the other questions. And it's going to make me think, because if it is dangerous radiation, my girlfriend won't really go in this car. She'd rather go in a diesel Golf. She says, I don't want to go in the car, not interested in it. It's too inconvenient. So there it is. But think about it. Step back and think about what is happening here, and push this video out to YouTube, because if not, it'll be too late. We're having freedom taken away from us. I tell you what, I wish I'd brought my shorts, with it being the warmest July on record and temperatures rising here, and I'm in my jeans. I'm going to bake, aren't I? I mean, it's now 12 degrees. It's going to be roasting. It's middle of summer, and I'm in jeans. I should have brought my shorts. Now, there's certain things that I can and can't say on this channel. However, I'm not going to say anything. But, and it's a big but, and I like big buts, and I cannot lie. I have to say that. Some of you will know what I mean. Cast your mind back to when we had lockdown. Right? You remember? Remember lockdown? I'm pretty sure you do. We were all indoors or on the back garden, etc. What was the weather like in lockdown? Do you remember? It was really nice, wasn't it? It was really nice. Blue skies, not a cloud in the sky. It was fantastic, wasn't it? I wonder why that was. Not wearing a tinfoil hat, but it's there, isn't it? And I think those who know, if you know what I mean. But it was beautiful weather. Nobody could fly anywhere. We were all sat indoors and, you know, watching TV and watching Boris Johnson and Donald Trump on TV. And the weather was beautiful. I mean, I don't know why that was. Do you? So I've got this electromagnetic field radiation detector or whatever on here, and I'm not going to go in depth with this on this video, because I'm going to do it in a future video. However, I'm just intrigued, so I'm going to switch it on. Now, if you do hear it beep, then it means that it's dangerous inside, and it tells you the magnetic levels of radiation. I'm going to go a bit dark, I do apologise, and also the electric fields of radiation, etc. So I'm going to switch it on, but it shouldn't bleep. So, oh my word, oh my word, that is off the scale. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because these tests are going to blow it out of the water on dangerous levels of radiation in these cars. Make sure you subscribe, share the video, and tell your mates to watch this channel, because I am going to I am going to expose the radiation levels inside these cars on a future video. That's mad. It's made me go a bit funny actually. That was showing over 800.5 on the magnetic radiation. That is a little frightening, I have to say. What is that doing to our bodies? What is it actually doing to our bodies sat in these cars? It's not a nice feeling. God, can't see for the rain. The sun's shining in my eyes. I tell you what, that is alarming. It makes you think, sitting in one of these cars, an electric car, it makes you think, are we actually sat in a microwave? I mean, the amount of, that was red, it was flashing red and beeping dangerous levels. This is gonna, and that wasn't even while it's charging. You imagine when the car's plugged in to the grid, charging, ploughing all that electricity through to them batteries. What it's going to be then? That's going to blow the thing up. I tell you what, that is going to be one interesting video. I cannot wait to do that one. So make sure you share this out. I want to push this out and show people what it's actually like, the dangers of it. I mean, you'll get some people saying, it doesn't really matter. In fact, it's actually, you probably get some, actually, I think you'll find that magnetic radiation is good for you. It's good for your arthritis. Jeez, I'm surprised they don't glow in the dark. You see that car there in front on the last clip? If you didn't, go back, have a look. The Ford Mustang. Now, I've mentioned before, it's bloody awful, isn't it? It's not even a Ford Mustang. In fact, it's offensive to the real classic Ford Mustang. That thing is, I mean, it's just terrible, isn't it? It's just awful. But what's even worse now, put the Mustang aside, my favourite car, the Ford Capri, amazing car, used by the professionals, Bodie and Doyle. They've made it into an electric car, and have you seen it? Here's a picture of it. It's terrible. Whoever has designed that car should be punished, right? They should be punished. I'm trying to think of a punishment for them, right? I think that they should be put in a room with a dripping tap forever in a day, whoever designed that car, because it's more than offensive to the original Ford Capri. It makes me feel sick. In fact, when I saw that Ford Capri, the new Ford Capri, the electric one, I was a little bit sick in my mouth. It's terrible. It's absolutely awful. Let me just, whoever buys that car, the Ford Capri electric car, has zero taste and should not be allowed on the road. In fact, they shouldn't be allowed out of the house. They shouldn't be allowed to do, they should be put in a padded cell, because it's a terrible thing. It's awful. What is going on with the world? What is going on? I'm sorry, the Capri. That Capri is like the love child of Gemma Collins and Sam Smith. I mean, that is literally, it's terrible. What is it? What is it? It's the same with the Mustang. It's just, stop it with all these designs. Awful. Absolutely awful. So the meter that I got, I was doing a few. I'm not one of those that reads instructions. I'm one of those that goes online and looks up a YouTube video of somebody telling me how to use something and they've read the instructions. That's me. I just I can't be bothered with instructions. Let somebody else do that, then explain it to me on a YouTube video. Somebody had actually bought one of these EMF testers, and the top of it, because there's two readouts, the top is actually the electromagnetic, the electrical field radiation at the top, and the bottom one is the magnetic field. So there's two different readouts. Now, when I showed that earlier on, it was the magnetic field that was basically off the scale there. But it's going to be interesting when I actually plug it into charge to see what the electrical field is like as well. So you're being exposed to magnetic fields and electrical fields. Now, I'm not a scientist. I don't profess to be a scientist. Obviously, I'm definitely not a scientist. Otherwise, I wouldn't be running around with a phone on a stick. So it's going to be interesting though. Anybody out there who knows anything about science, etc., and physics or whatever, are electrical fields and magnetic fields, are they bad for your body? Are they bad for your health? Because I did a Google research on it, and it said there's no proof, there's no evidence that it is bad for your health. However, you never know, do you? Because I never know what to believe, what to read. I certainly don't believe the media or the news or the mainstream media, because they just lie. I mean, they are liars. They work with the powers that be to brainwash you. Turn the news off on the radio, don't read the newspapers. They lie, they brainwash you. It's all manipulation. We're being manipulated. I think there's a wake-up call coming with these cars eventually, 100%. Did you see that? A BYD seal, right? I didn't know what it was until I got closer to it. I thought, what is that? It's a characterless car. I just thought it's a nothing car. It's a nothing car. And I didn't realise what it was until I got closer to it. A BYD, burn your driveway. That's what it stands for, isn't it? Burn your driveway. What a absolutely awful car. It's just terrible. And I got a Tesla behind me as well, and they seem to have paled into insignificance really as of late, since in fact the Tesla owners have silenced a little bit since Tesla's laid off a load of staff, and also their share prices have plummeted. They've got a little bit quiet, haven't they? Hey, I think the Tesla people are going to be like the BlackBerry people. I think you'll find you should have got a BlackBerry. Where are they now? Gone.
One of us. 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 One of us.
I mean, what do they look like? They're like the love child of Joe Pasquale and Posh Spice, aren't they? Tesla is just terrible. Enterprise Car Club. That won't be electric, because a lot of the car hire companies now won't have electric cars. Talking of Posh Spice, by the way, I read that she's had the same meal, eaten the same meal for something like 20 odd years. You never know whether there's any truth in this, because it's in the media and they lie. But if she has, I mean, that must be really boring. I mean, I like fish and chips, but to have fish and chips every day, she's obviously not had fish and chips every day for the last 20 odd years, but you know what I mean? It's really boring. It's like driving an electric car. That's like having the same meal for 20 odd years in a row, because there's no soul to it. It's just odd. I just don't get. The world's gone mad. The world has gone absolutely crazy. Just stop the world. I want to get off. I actually said, bless my mother and my dad, they've sadly passed away, I said the other day to Sarah, I said, do you know what? If you could bring them back now, especially my dad, who's been passed away for many years, if you could bring them back, and he loved cars, if you could bring them back and put them back on the world now, for a month, I guarantee that they would say, no thanks, I'm off, I'm out of here. It's very nice, but I lived in the best time. Because we're living in a time now where we're just being controlled by the powers that be, and they're telling us what we can and can't do. And it's madness, just total control. You might think I've gone crackers, but I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who really believe with me. Believe it, it's nuts. Anyway, onwards, I'll read you this news story about electric cars globally on the decline, which is probably just as well, because it looks like we're going to get microwaved by sitting in them, allegedly. But what do I know? Might be good for you. I'll tell you what, I'm just... Is sitting in an electric car even worse than sitting in a microwave? I mean, I can't look at this because I'm driving, but you can. I don't know whether you can see that, you probably can't see it. I mean, that's crazy. That's nuts. I'm going to do a proper test. Let me turn that off. I'm going to do a proper test on that and see what the levels are like. That is crazy. It makes me feel uneasy sitting in this car. I mean, I'm going to do some other tests as well. I'll do a test with Jeff Buys Cars in future as well, and we'll do a test against the radiation levels inside an electric car and also the radiation levels inside a normal car, and see what we actually get on there as well. You know, petrol or a diesel car, see whether there's any levels in there from anywhere. But that is mad. Is sitting in an electric car even worse than sitting inside a microwave? So let's wind this video up. Now, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because I am going to be testing the radiation levels in this electric car whilst it's stationary and it's off, whilst it's switched on, and also whilst I'm charging. Whilst I'm charging, I'm pretty worried about, because obviously it's being filled full of electricity at high power, high charge. So that poses the question, is sitting inside an electric car even more hazardous to your health than sitting inside a microwave? Well, we're going to find that one out. In fact, I'm going to switch it on now, actually, while we're sat in the car, and I'm not driving this time. The car is on, but okay, the car's on, but I'm not driving, and there's no noise. So while I'm actually driving, that's interesting. Earlier on, it was a warning, but now I'm stationary, it's not. Okay, right, well, we're going to find out a little more in the next video. Now then, as I said earlier on, EV, I'm going to read this and I'll put the news story in the description down below. EVs in crisis as electric car sales round the world suddenly slump. Electric vehicle sales around the world need to grow at a pace if countries are to bring down planet warming emissions. Electric car sales growth appears to have slumped, with people said to be put off by the high price tag. Tesla's global deliveries fell to 387,000 between January and March this year, compared to 423,000 over the same period in 2023. Its rival, Burn Your Driveway, BYD, sold just over 300,000 battery cars battery cars, which is what they are, in the first quarter of 2024, down from a record 526,000 in the last 3 months of 2023. For the year to January 2024, a total of 20,935 new battery-powered electric vehicles were registered in the UK, with a market share of 14.7%, according to the Society of Motor Manufacturers. Now, I'll put the rest of this news story in the description down below, but it looks like the sale of electric cars are on the decline. And I can tell you why, personally, in my opinion. I think people that have had electric cars have been burnt by them, not literally, but thought, yeah, it's wrong, it's not for me. Then they've got rid and they've gone back to petrol or diesel because they've woken up to the fact that really they are not fit for purpose on a daily basis if you want to go on longer journeys. Yes, they are fine for around town, etc. I've been on longer journeys with this and it is a bit of a nightmare. The newer version of the Taycan, yes, you can get a little bit further, but you've still got the infrastructure that lets it down. And also, as I said, there's no heart, there's no soul, there's nothing to them. Anyway, that's all from me today. Don't forget, I'm going to be testing out the levels of radiation in the next episode. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.